In this video, we are going to talk about the November 2021 series of economics. Let's go. So let's start with question 1. To help reduce the price of oil, okay, so new supplies a need, okay, so there's a need, okay, there's a need to reduce the price, okay, to reduce the price. However, there are people oppose it, okay, because of the environmental damages, okay. So there are some negative impacts here of exploring the new site. So so right now the question, which statement is about, okay, what is the example of this basic economic problem, okay. So when we talk about basic economic problem, okay, of course we would talk about, okay, scarcity, okay, scarcity. So I would look for, okay, look for the the answer related to scarcity. So the answer goes to A, right? Unlimited resources. Option B, okay, option B of course is wrong. Option C, yeah, we agree that, okay, there are demand supply involved in oil, but if you think about it, okay, there are demand supply for both economic goods and free goods, okay. So I would say this statement, okay, might not fit, okay, might not fit here. Now, I would say option D is quite arguable, but you have to think about it. When we talk about external cause, it's not, okay, it's not a basic problem. Okay, it's a very complicated problem, right? Okay, so I would say in this question, okay, because okay, the question stress on basic economic problem, so I would say the answer would goes to scarcity. That is A. So we will move on to MC question 2. So what would be the opportunity cost of spending the money? Okay, so I would say the opportunity cost of spending the money, of course, is the return. Okay, the return brought by that money. So the answer must be A. Okay, the potential interest return to the money. Okay, if you saved. Okay, so option B must be wrong because this is the sunk cost. Okay, so it must not be the opportunity cost. Let's move on to MC question 3. Now, MC question 3, there are a lot of concepts where to take a look. So let's take a look at the statement. Okay, so the statement talks about the US government holds a lot of supply. So I would say this one would related to government. Okay, government, and then it talks about they have been selling it helium, but it is essential for medical services. It's a valuable goods. So I would say here, this one, it talks about how important is helium, okay, to medical supplies. So I would say it's related to the production. So the answer will goes to D. Okay, let's take a look at question 4. Now for question 4, also what are the characteristics of the public good? Is very straightforward and easy. The answer must be C, okay, non-excludable and non-rival in consumption. Okay, this one is very straightforward and easy. MC question 5. So what would be the advantages of market economy? So this one I would say the answer is also very straightforward. It must be A. Okay, it's about the market clearing. Okay, the market clearing function, satisfying the wants for those who can and who are willing to pay the price. Okay, so this is a very straightforward question. Now for MC question 6, so what is a macroeconomics? So I would say, why don't you think about it? So what are some microeconomics problem? Okay, so then we can deal with it. Okay, so let's take a look these. Okay, so I would say the macroeconomics aim of the government. So first of all, C is not correct because C is a kind of microeconomics problem. And our option D, I don't think it's an aim, right? It's not the aim of the government. Wrong. For diversion, no, it's not an aim. Okay, I would say the government would aim for stability. So the answer goes to A. Let's take a look at MC question 7. For MC question 7, so there are 4 diagrams. Okay, we have to take a look. So let's see. In the question, it talks about the economy relies on potatoes to make the fertilizer. Okay, so right now a new deposit, okay, is discovered. That means, okay, the supply of it would increase, right? The supply. So what would be the changes? Okay, so the supply increase. I will look for answer D. Okay, it's a straightforward and easy question. Let's take a look. MC question 8. In this question, we are going to take a look about the price elasticity. So let's state what is the meaning of price inelastic. That means the percentage change in quantity demand must be less than the percentage change in price. Now, if you're smart enough, you know how to deal with this question. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 7, 5, 7, 9, 7 and 9. Okay, so it's a specific case, I would say. So I will start with option D to try to take a look. Is it the answer? Okay, because it looks strange, right? 7 to 9. So I will start with the percentage change in QD. Okay, 7 plus 9. Okay, let's start with the nominator. Will be 3.2, right? Okay, so 9 minus 7 for the quantity over 9 plus 7 over 2, and then deal with the price. Okay, 3 to 2. Okay, 2 minus 3 for the price, 2 plus 3 over 2. Then you can have 6. Okay, like this, 6.25. Okay, it will be negative 0.625. Okay. It's less than 1. Okay, less than 1. The answer goes to D. Okay, straightforward and easy. MC question 9. Which of the following policy would raise the productivity? So let's take a look. The answer one by one. A. Decrease. Oh my God, it's not decrease, right? It should be you should increase the training program to raise the productivity. So this one is wrong. B. Encouraging. Oh no, it's not about labor intensive. Okay, it should be I would say no, it should be machinery. Okay, machinery intensive or capital intensive. Okay, to raise the productivity. Okay, it's wrong. D must be wrong too, because okay, you should raise the investment to promote automation. Okay, or machinization. Okay, the answer must be the last one. Okay, C. Okay, C. Okay. Move on. Okay, MC question 10. This one is about okay, minimum wages across the cleaners and the nurses. So what would be result if a national OM wages? Okay, OM here, O and M. Okay, like this. My guess is like this. Okay, so what would be like this? Okay. So for the cleaner, okay, so the wages must be increased, right? Because okay, I would say the minimum wage is effective. Okay, this one is effective. OM. However, for the nurses, you can see that the wages is still okay, remain at WN, as the OM is not effective. Okay, it's not effective at all. So the answer goes to D. Alright, okay, so I would say this question depends, okay, whether, okay, the OM is effective. MC question 11. So this one question stress on specialization, okay? So what are the specialization, okay? And there are disadvantages to some of the workers, okay? To some of the workers. So, well, I would say we need to take a look, okay, the disadvantages to the workers, okay? What will result is increasing specialization. Let's take a look. Increase specialization. Oh, this one is tricky. Okay, increase specialization. I would say option C and option A is all about specialization. Okay, but think about it. Okay, and then next we have the disadvantages to some workers. So I would say A would be the answer. Okay, because for C, this is good for the workers. Okay, because you can find other jobs, okay, if you move out. Okay, but for greater mechanization, it's bad for the workers, because you know they might lay off some workers. So I would say this one is not correct. Okay, so the answer goes to A for MC question 11. MC question 12. So a subsidy is provided to the firm, so that such that supply curve move outside. So what represents the total revenue of the firm, including this the subsidy? Okay, so the total revenue of the firm, it will be like here. So this one is the total revenue of the firm, including the subsidy. Okay, so for subsidy, it will be here. So the answer is GHOM. M. Okay, GHOM. So the answer goes to D. Straightforward and easy. Let's move on to the next question. MC question 13 again. So there is a cost curve, as you can see there. So here, remember that here, this is the fixed cost. Okay, this is the fixed cost, and for the slope here, for the tangent of the slope, it would be the variable cost. So I would like you to be reminded that. Okay, so MC question 13, you can see that I would say A is wrong. Okay, so there has fixed cost, there is variable cost. So you can see that the answer must be D, right? As you can see, the slope is constant. Okay, how about option C? The average fixed cost must be decreased, right? Because as you can see, okay, so this is the fixed cost over the quantity. Okay, so for the fixed cost, denominator is fixed. Okay, unchanged. Okay, unchanged. When quantity increases, the average fixed cost must decrease. So this is MC question 13. So move on to MC question 14. Again, it's about the total cost. Okay, about the cost curve. So this is the average total cost. What happened after 4 units are produced? 4 times 5, it will be 20, the total cost. Okay, the total cost, this is 20. 5 times 7, 35. 9 times 6, 54. And I would also like to compute the marginal cost. Okay, so this is 15. 54 minus 35, we will say 19. Okay, so I would say you can see that the marginal cost is increasing. Okay, so I would say option D must be wrong. Okay, because this is about good stuff. Okay, option C also about good stuff. Option B is also about good stuff. So the answer goes to A. You can see that the company suffers from something because the marginal cost increased from 15 to 19. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, for MC question 14. So we will move on to MC question 15. Okay, so for MC question 15, it talks about there are 2 cars manufacturers. Okay, so they agreed to merge. Okay, so what would be the disadvantages? Okay, so let's look for the disadvantages. A, no, it's an advantages, right? B is an advantages. D is an advantages. So the answer goes to C. Straightforward and easy. Okay. MC question 16, recovered from a second month of deflation. Okay, what does it mean by recovered from deflation? I would say, what does this mean? Record, sorry, not recovered, record. Okay, record deflation. Deflation, that means price level drop, right? But answer B. Okay, very easy. Okay. MC question 17. Demand pool. Okay, so for demand pool inflation, demand. Okay, so let's take a look. What are related to demand? Labor is not related to demand. This is wrong. Okay. C, tax rate, higher tax rate related to consumption drop. I don't think it's inflation. Okay, this might be deflation. Okay, because the price level will drop, right? So I don't say this. C is the answer. Again, D also. Okay, so D, for D, the AD will drop. I think there might be deflation or price level drop. So I would say the answer goes to B. Okay, because higher government expenditure. So when the AD raise, so that the price level will raise. So the answer goes to B for MC question 17. Okay, move on to MC question 18. So what would be the consequences of economic growth for individuals and the economy? Consequences. A, it increases absolute poverty. Really, for growth, I don't think there is absolute poverty. Okay, so let's take a look. B, increase in income, correct? Increase in government tax revenue, of course, right? When people earn more. Okay, so the answer goes to B. C, increase the variety of goods, yes. Reduction in export, no, I don't think so. Okay, you might export more. Okay. D, increase in unemployment, really? Okay, so the answer goes to B. Okay, we will move on to 19. Okay, so for 19, you can see that there are what? There is a growth receipt. Okay, so we have to count the revenue raised by indirect taxes. Okay, to see which one are the indirect taxes. So for indirect taxes, these are taxes on goods and services. Now, on the other hand, there are several direct taxes. So these direct taxes, they will tax on income, profits, property, okay, and inheritance. So for these, we call this direct tax, okay, and we won't we won't put it in our answer. So income tax, inheritance tax, okay. So these, okay, I would say, and also profit tax, okay. You see that, right? Okay. Or let me highlight, okay. So for profit tax, this one, profit tax, okay, we are not going to do it, okay. And for income tax, okay, we are not going to do it. One more. For inheritance tax, okay, we are not going to do it. So these three, they are not included in the answer. So we will put 1, 2, 3. These three, okay, we add it up, okay. 10 add up 75, add up 30. Sorry, 300. Then we will have the answer C. All right, and then we will keep going to question 20. Okay, so which supply side policy should help us to match the skills of workers, okay, to job vacancies? Okay, let's take a look these options one by one. Okay, it's about matching, right? Encourage modernization. Okay, it's not about matching. Okay, it's nothing related to matching but raising the skills. B also, okay, it's not about matching but raising the skills. Okay, C, this one reduce the taxes to provide incentive to work. Okay, so this incentive is not equal to matching. So I would say the answer goes to D. Okay, so this one with private enterprise. Okay, by replacing, this is about matching. Okay, matching the correct people to the private enterprise. We will move on to the next question. MC question 21. For MC question 21, is asked about how would there be inflation to be measured. Okay, so for inflation, we all know that it's all about the increase in the price level, okay, of the goods and services in general. Okay, goods and services in general. So we check out the option. I would say option A is the answer. For option B, C, D, there's no answer at all. Okay, they are not about goods and services. Now for MC question 22 is removed from the question paper. So we are not going to discuss question 22. Okay, so we will keep going to MC question 23. Okay, 23, 24, and 25. Let's start with MC question 23. So for this question, it's about the combination of policy to raise the employment. Now I would say for raising the employment, that means a wide increase. So which one would help the wide increase? I would say decrease in tax. Okay, when T's drop, okay, when T's drop, C would increase, right? So this is one of the one. Another one is the decrease in the interest rate. Okay, when R drops, okay, the I would increase. So the answer would goes to A, for sure. Okay, decrease in tax and decrease in the interest rate. MC question 24. Poverty. Okay, so what is meant by relative poverty? Okay, it's all about in the relative sense that about not, okay, it's not about absolute. Okay, say for example these. Okay, so these are about absolute. Okay, about the basic need. Okay, can the basic need be met? So this is the absolute one. Okay, so the answer goes to A. For MC question 25, what is the effect of net immigration? Okay, that means this is net outflow. Okay, net outflow of those teenagers. Okay, so for net outflow of teenagers, then the answer would goes to B. Okay, so the aging population would become more and more serious. Okay, we will move on to next one. Okay, so go to MC question 26. So we can see that so there are 4 countries and we have 2. Take a look at which country will have the lowest. Okay, lowest. Okay, so I will start with this one. Okay, the lowest. Okay, the lowest. Okay, 190. Life expectancy, I will go to the low one. Okay, population density. Okay, for density, okay, I will go to the highest one. Okay, oh, you can see that. Oh, okay, for the, okay, so you can see the answer is very obvious, right? Answer goes to D. Okay, MC question 27. Okay, a country specialized in the production of steel, toys, and textile. Okay, so what would be the disadvantages to the workers? Okay, to the workers. So indeed, okay, so when they specialize stuff, okay, they would become unemployed. Okay, so the answer goes to B. Okay, so I would say C and D. Okay, these are still but answers. Okay, I'm not going to pick them. Okay, so we will move on to MC question 28. So in this question, you can see that the diagram shows the Chinese trade with Brazil. Okay, so we can see that the graph, okay, there are two, year one and year two, okay, import and export. So what happened to the trade balance? Okay, so for year one, you can see that for year one export and year one import. Okay, so for year one, so export is larger than import. Okay, but for year two, you can see that for year two, the export is less than import. So then we can have the answer. Okay, so for the first one is a surplus, right? From the second one is the deficit. So I would say the answer goes to D. We'll move on to the last two questions. So that's question 29 and question 30. Okay. Now, so for question 29, it's about the U.S. imposed a tariff on motorcycles from Germany. So what would be the effect? Now, of course, first of all, the decrease. I don't think there would be a decrease in inflation, right? Because the price of the import would increase. So I don't think this is the answer. Option B. Okay, so I would say the answer goes to option B, right? Because when price raise, the quantity drops. So this is according to the law of demand. So I guess so option B would be the answer. Now how about option C? Now of course the profit, okay, what would be dropped, right? Think about it. There's a tariff, okay. And option D, the standard of living of course was dropped because there are less quantity to be consumed, okay. So you must drop. Last question, what will be the immediate effect of the fall in foreign exchange reserve? Okay, that means the value of the currency would drop, okay. So when the value of the currency drop, the price becomes cheaper. So the answer would be D. But on the other hand, C is wrong because it's not about cheaper import, okay, it's about expensive, okay, because okay, your value drop, right? Okay, for the purchasing power, it will be dropped too, okay, because the import become more expensive. For the last one, okay, I think the money supply, okay, would hold constant, okay, yeah, because it's controlled by the central bank. Now that's all for this video in paper 1. We will start with the paper 2. So this is the 2021 October November series, okay, for 0455 IGCSE economics. Okay, so let's get started. 1A. So we have to calculate the Indian losses. So we have to take a look at the data file. Okay. So you can see that in the data file, there are two figures are provided, which are, the revenue and the cost. So we can make use of these, figures to compute is 0.7 billion. Okay, remember that you have to put down the unit here. Okay, here. Otherwise, okay, you cannot get full marks. Puppy. So we have to give two subtotals of air travel. Okay. So of course, trains, ships. Okay. So I would say these are a common answer. Okay. Indeed. You can grab it. Okay, from here. Okay, from the paragraph to just simply copy the answer. 1C. So we have to explain one characteristic that suggests that so it is a monopoly. Okay. So monopoly, that means there's only one big supplier, only one supplier in the industry. So this is what we call monopoly. So we can check out so in the paragraph, okay, how would it suggest that there's only one supplier in the air travel industry, okay, in 1994. Okay, now as you can see that for the market share, okay, so it obtains 100%. Okay, so there's only one firm. So I would say it is a kind of monopoly. One more thing to add is that there is no competition as it obtains 100% market shares. We will move on to part D. So we have to give two reasons why the government would like to privatize the air industry. There are a lot of answers include. The first one would be increase the airline's efficiency. So so you can put that increase efficiency. Okay, 1 mark. Okay, and perform better. Okay, higher. Okay, so these are one of the answers that showing the reason of privatization. Another reason would be here about a successful sale would raise money for the Indian government. So it will raise the tax revenue, okay, which could be spent on other ways. Okay, so this is another answer. So this is for question 1D. Okay, we'll move on to part E. So we have to analyze the position on the current account in 2017, and we have to compare it to the others. Okay, so let's try to compare these figures. So let's take a look for Brazil. Okay, for Brazil here, Brazil. So the current account is negative. Okay, it's negative, and the current account of GDP is also negative. But for China, it's both positive. Okay, then for India, it's negative, negative. Kenya, negative, negative. Russia, positive, negative. Sorry, positive and positive. So we can have a rough idea about what's going on. Okay, so first of all, there are a lot of things we have to answer. First of all, we have to answer about the current account. That is, okay, so these three countries, they will have a current account deficit. Now, on the other hand, these two countries, they will have a current account surplus. Okay, so next, let's take a look at the case in India, which is indicated by the question. Okay, so we can see that for India, it's 46.7, so which is the largest. Okay, the largest in terms of money. But for the percentage, you can see this is okay, 1.9. Okay, so for Kenya is number 1. Okay, so this is the second one. Okay, Kenya number 1, India is this number 2. Okay, okay, so this is the case for the India. Okay, we will move on to the next question. Okay, so for the next question, okay, analysis. Okay, how a successful airline can promote economic growth. So there are a lot of ways to answer this question. Okay, so first of all, I would say, so how would you define the term economic growth? So candidates, they will need to give a definition. Okay, so what are the meanings of economic growth? So there are common answers like GDP and output. So this is one of the answers. And then tax revenue is one of the answers. Mobility of labor is one of the answers. Okay, so so these are a lot of answers that you may give. So we can check out the we can check out the paragraph. Okay, in the paragraph it talks about there is a rise in the number of routes and passengers. So these would increase the number of tourists. Okay, so the increase of number of tourists, of course, okay, it would raise the output and GDP. Okay. Another answer you may give is about the movement of goods and services. Okay, so the movement of goods and services in and out of the country would also raise the GDP. So one more to go is about the attraction of these multinational companies. So this would reduce the cost of production and also introduce new technologies, etc. So I would say these are the answers. We will move on to part G. So we have to discuss, okay, should the government raise tax on here, okay, on the airline bill. Okay, indeed, there are, I would say, here, so you can see that there are discussions here. Okay, so the tax revenue. Okay, so there are, one point is about reducing market failure here. So you have to explain what is the meaning of market failure. That means the market social benefit, okay, is less than the marginal social cost. Okay, so this would create deadweight loss. Okay, for example, okay, it is due to due to air pollution. Okay, because of air pollution. So in the answer, you can see that it talks about how the social cost exceed the social benefit every state. So the tax might reduce the air travel, air pollution, as we stated too. Okay, so this is the first answer you may give. The second answer you may give is about here. It's about introducing training, new technology, improve the pilot working conditions. Okay, so this would be the second answer about raising the revenue. Okay, so it would likely to about to finance the education, blah blah blah. Of course, okay, so there are, okay, we need to give answer, okay, why, okay, they should not do it. Okay, why they should not do it. Let's say, for example, okay, you may refer back to the current account situation of India. You can see that if there's a tax, it might reduce tourism in the country and harming the current account position. I would say this is the answer that I would like to give. Okay, so we have to discuss whether with more people to apply for the pilots. So you know the word, right? There are other factors like the quality of education is one of the example. So the quality of education. So there are a lot of people might not be qualified. So this is one of the answers. And next, there are other job opportunities that might offer, better condition or higher pay rate. So this is the second answer I would like to give. Of course, we have to give, why, they might do so. So you may refer back to the previous one. It talks about here is about the attraction of those foreign investment. So with the attraction of foreign investment, so there are my new technology to make the job easier. So these are my answers that I would like to give. So after the data response question, we will move on to the essay. So I will keep going starting from question 2. And move on and move on. 2A. So we have to define free goods. So for free goods, I would say there's no opportunity cost involved. So there are abundant in supply, natural abundant supply that the quantity demand is less than the quantity supply at zero price. So you have to state clearly to get full marks. Next, we have to explain the example. Between differences between secondary sector and tertiary sector. So for secondary sector, I would say it's about the car industry. Manufacturing. The second factor would be car insurance. So make sure that car insurance and car industry. So make sure you give good example. Now, of course, there are other examples you may give, like the sales of car is a kind of tertiary industry. So this is for part B. For part 2C, we have to make use of a PPC here, to illustrate the effect of the increase in the quality, in the resources. So first of all, you must give good XY axis 0, and the PPC. So we know that with a better quality, the productivity will increase, right? So for both types of good, it will be increased in quantity. So indeed, when we look for the curve, we look for the line rightward shift. Rightward shift. Sorry, rightward shift of the PPC. So this would be the answer in the diagram. So that's all for question 2C. Now for question 2D, so we have to explain whether a fall in the country's birth rate will benefit an economy. So there are two types of answers. You may say you give or you might not give. It depends, right? Of course. So if a fall in birth rate will benefit, there are some answers that you may give. Say for example, so there reduced pressure on the environment, of course, like water, food, blah blah blah. Next, of course, you may give another phrase called the optimum population. So this is a very new concept. So you might want to give this one. Now, on the other hand, if you talk about it might not reduce it. Of course, you can talk about the size of the labor force. That means this would be the non-run aggregate supply will drop in the long run. And also you may talk about some social phenomena. See, for example, you can talk about aging population. So this is a kind of social phenomenon. So this is the answer for question 2D. We will move on to question 3A. So two determinants of price elasticity. There are a lot, right? Usually candidates will start with the price, the spare capacity, and also the production time or level of stock. So these three are major determinants of price elasticity of supply. 3B. So what are the advantages to the economy of ending the child labor? Now, of course, so ending of child labor, that means they go to study, right? When they go to study, the productivity will raise. this would raise the long-run economic growth as the long-run aggregate supply raise. Okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, number 2. Okay, so this is a new concept we call reduce the cycle of poverty. Okay, so this is a new concept. So I would like to highlight it here. Okay, so these are the 2 advantages. 3C, how would the average cost can change as output increase? Of course, you have to, I would say, bring up some key terms. Okay, we will call it this economies of scale and the economies of scale. Okay, so I would say you have to talk about these 2 concepts. So we will start with the economics of scale. Okay, so these are the good stuff. Okay, so making making your average cost drops. Okay, say for example financial economy. Okay, like you may borrow a low interest rate. Okay, another example would be buying economy. Okay, that is when you buy in bulk. Okay, you will receive a discount. Okay, so this is the first answer I will give. The second answer I will give is about this economy of scale, like the managerial. Okay, so that means difficult to keep control of a large concentration. Another one would be poor relationship. Okay, that means there might be labor strikes. Okay, so these are the 2 answers I would like to give: economic scale and this economic scale. Another point you may give is about to define the meaning of average cost. Okay, you may define it at average fixed cost. Okay, average variable cost, or what average total cost. Indeed, so there are 3. Okay, there are 3 types of definition that you might give in the answer. So this is for question 3C. Now for question 3D, okay, so we have to discuss whether the economy will benefit of allocating more resources to the agriculture. Okay, so I will go with the it might not. Okay, so first of all, when you talk about agriculture, okay, so you have to think about it. Okay, agriculture compared to manufacturing goods. Okay, so I would say agriculture might not be a good investment. Another thing is about the supply of agriculture can fluctuate due to weather. Okay, and the third one is about the environment. Okay, it might use up a lot of resources. Okay, so these are the arguments for not developing agriculture. Okay, for the argument 4, you may talk about specialization increasing efficiency. Okay, improve the current account and balance of payments. Okay, health and safety issues. Okay, so these are common answers. Question 4a, we have to identify 2 or 3 resources allocation decisions. Okay, so I would say these are very easy. Question 4b, so 2 reasons why the household may save less even though the income increases. Of course, the first factor I would like to highlight is about the rate of interest rate. Okay, so this is the return from saving. Okay, when the return drop, of course people will save less. Okay, the saving will drop. So this is a very easy and clear answer. Okay, the second thing I would say is about the greater the greater taxes. Okay, so think about when your income increases. Okay, if the tax are progressive in nature, of course you have to handle more. Okay, so it depends on the nature of the test. So I would say these are the 2 reasons that I would like to give. Question 4C. Okay, so how would the trade union benefit the members? Of course, about the bargaining and the wages, right? The first one is about the bargaining with the employers to raise the wages. Okay, so this must be one of the answers. Okay, so another one. Okay, other than the employers. Okay, so there are other stakeholders you may give. Okay, like the government. Okay, so they will put pressure on the government to raise the national minimum wages or reduce the retirement age. So remember, you have to give the stakeholders. For question 4D, we'll discuss whether the fall in the foreign exchange rate would improve the macroeconomic performance. Of course, we have to define the meaning of macroeconomic performance, including economic growth, balance of payments. These are cost of productions, inflation. Okay, so these are exchange rate, future economic prospects. So first of all, you have to give definition. Okay, define what is the meaning of macroeconomic performance. So when there's a fall in exchange rate, I would say the first implication must be export price will fall, okay, and the import price will rise. So this would be the implication. So we have to make use of the fall in export price and the rise in the import price to illustrate our answer. Okay, now say for example, when the export price fall, so we will have more export. Okay, so when we have more export, so the employment can be raised. Okay, so this is because of the increase in the export as stated. So this is the one of the first thing I would like to talk about. The second thing, when the export drop, and export raise, and the import drops, so the balance of payments might be improved. So this is the second answer that I would like to give. But on the other hand, so think about it. When the import price raise, that might bring us cost to push inflation. And another thing is about when we talk about the x minus m raise, export minus import raise, it will lead to the rise in aggregate demand. Indeed, it might bring us inflation. So this is another thing we have to consider. Okay.